hit like a gut punch this week. Gene Hackman, the old-school Hollywood legend of the French Connection, Unforgiven and Superman, gone. Found dead in his Santa Fe home alongside his wife and one of their 3 dogs. A tragedy, sure, but the details? They're so twisted even the mainstream media can't whitewash it. Something is off, way off, and the media are barely scratching the surface. Here's what the media won't tell you. Gene Hackman wasn't some retired millionaire kicking back in New Mexico. He was neighbours with Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, that's Epstein. And get this, he owned an island right next door to Oprah Winfrey's private island in British Columbia. Cozy, right? But Gene wasn't playing nice with the elite anymore. Word is he was sick to death of the Epstein client list cover-up. He told friends he was done watching the deep state and rogue FBI agents shred the truth. He was ready to talk, ready to burn it all down. Then out of nowhere, he's gone. Suspicious doesn't even cover it. It's a neon sign screaming foul play. And we've got the unfiltered truth coming up. Details so chilling, they'll haunt you. What went down in that house? And why did Gene Hackman's last stand threaten to unravel everything for the untouchable elite? Wednesday, February the 26th, 2025 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Sheriff's deputies roll up to the sprawling mansion of Gene Hackman, the gruff Oscar-winning star of classics like The French Connection and Unforgiven. Inside, they find a scene that's odd, to say the least. Gene is sprawled in the entryway. His wife Betsy is lying on her right side in the bathroom, a space heater tipped over next to her head. The door is wide open. One of their dogs is dead. The other 2 are still wandering around, tails wagging like nothing's wrong. And then there's this. A spilled bottle of pills scattered across the floor like some kind of clue begging to be noticed. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office calls it suspicious enough to launch a full investigation. No gunshot wounds, no stab marks, no forced entry, no obvious signs of a struggle. So what's the official story? They float the idea of a carbon monoxide leak. Classic, right? But here is where it starts to unravel. The New Mexico Gas Company tests the lines. Nothing. The fire department sweeps for carbon monoxide. Zilch. And those 2 dogs? If carbon monoxide took Gene and Betsy out, why are 2 dogs still trotting around like they're auditioning for a Purina commercial? The carbon monoxide theory is the kind of lazy plot twist you'd see in a straight-to-streaming flop. It doesn't hold water. Carbon monoxide detectors are required by law in New Mexico. So people start whispering murder. But why? Why would anyone target Gene Hackman, a guy who's been out of the spotlight for 2 decades? To answer that, we've got to rewind the tape on who Gene Hackman really was and what he knew about Jeffrey Epstein and his VIP friends. Gene wasn't just some Hollywood legend with a gravelly voice and a knack for playing tough guys. He was a man who'd seen the machine from the inside. Born in the 30s, he clawed his way up from a hard-knock working-class life, served as a Marine for 5 years, and then became one of the most versatile actors of his generation. Villains, heroes, anti-heroes, you name it. In the early 2000s, at the top of his game, he quit Hollywood. Officially, he retired because a doctor warned him about his heart. But talk to the people who knew him, and you'll hear a very different story. Gene was done with Hollywood's filth. The creeps, the perverts, the power players who smiled for the cameras while living double lives, he couldn't stomach it anymore. And here's where it gets interesting. Gene Hackman wasn't just any millionaire retiree sipping coffee in New Mexico. His mansion? It's just down the road from Jeffrey Epstein's infamous Zorro Ranch. Yeah, that Epstein. The man whose VIP client list is currently the subject of an enormous tussle between the federal government and rogue elements within the FBI. And yeah, that ranch. The one frequented by Bill Clinton and other VIP elites. There's the timing of his death. Word on the street, well, from friends he confided in, was that Gene was gearing up for a comeback. Not to act, but to talk. He told people he was ready to step out of retirement and spill the beans on what he called the memory holing of the Epstein scandal. He knew things that could crack the case wide open, even if rogue FBI agents torched the files. And just as the Epstein cover-up heats up again in early 2025, Gene and Betsy turn up dead. Convenient, right? Was this a hit? Did the elite finally decide that Gene Hackman knew too much? We're heading to a break, but when we come back, we're laying it all out. The real reason Gene and Betsy had to die right now. the satanic cult that had been stalking him for years, and how it ties straight to Epstein's VIP client list. Reports of Gene Hackman's death contained shocking details. Claims of a satanic cult operating in Santa Fe tied to Epstein, liberal elites, and ritualistic murders. But within hours, those reports vanished, scrubbed from the internet. Why? According to an FBI source, this satanic cult is the missing piece of the puzzle. It connects Hackman to Jeffrey Epstein and his network of elite VIPs, including the Clintons. The deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. Hackman knew things, and now somebody wants the truth buried with him.
I told you they were going to burn the Epstein case files, and I told you people were going to start disappearing. Gene Hackman didn't die by accident. It wasn't a coincidence. Him and his wife taken out together. No, that was a message. He knew too much. Lived too close to the truth. Hackman wasn't one of Epstein's sick playmates. He was a neighbor down there near that ranch in New Mexico. He saw things he wasn't supposed to. The late-night jets, the bonfires lighting up the desert, the screams carried on the wind. He knew about the client list, names that'd make your stomach turn. Politicians, CEOs, royalty. He knew why the FBI is burying it all right now, torching files faster than you can blink. They're in panic mode, the elite. Epstein's dead, so they say, but the loose ends are flapping in the breeze, and Hackman was one of them. He wouldn't join their game, wouldn't kneel. So they sent the order down the line, and the cult in Santa Fe took care of it. Yeah, you heard me. A satanic cult, operating out of some sprawling compound in the hills. They're the syndicate's muscle in the Southwest, Epstein's go-to for the dirty work. Rituals, sacrifices, blood on the sand. It's not just crime, it's a religion to them. They killed Hackman and his wife, staged it clean, but they were just the hands. The heads are higher up, way higher. See, Zorro Ranch wasn't just a hideout, it was a slaughterhouse. They called it the Great Game. Hunting kids, runaways, nobody snatched from the edges of the world. The cult ran the show, kept the altars warm, while Epstein's friends got their kicks. Hackman saw the motorcades roll in, the blacked-out SUVs, the private planes landing under moonlight. He heard the chants, saw the symbols carved into the rocks. He told me once, voice shaking, that it wasn't human, what they were doing out there. Epstein tried to bring him into the fold, tried to tempt him, tried to break him, but he refused.
Gene Hackman spent his career playing men who fought corruption, men who stood up to power. In the end, he tried to live that role, and it cost him everything. The truth he died for? It's still out there, buried in the shadows of Santa Fe, Zorro Ranch, and those private islands. The question is, who's next?